The Lord be with you.
And with thy spirit.
Let us pray. O God, you make the minds of your faithful to be of one will. Grant that we may love what you have commanded and desire what you promise, that among the manifold changes of this world our hearts may be fixed where true joys are found. Through Jesus Christ, your Son, our Lord, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever.
Amen.
That's the collect that was assigned for this past Sunday, Cantate Sunday. I had not paid much attention to it in preparation because I was focused for the sermon on Psalm 98. I wasn't the liturgist, Pastor Fries was. I was quite struck with its appropriateness for our particular current circumstances. And then on Monday, the daily lectionary happened to be the parallel passage in Luke from the Sermon on the Mount where Jesus talks about where your treasures are, there your heart will be. And so the line that got me was that among the many changes of this world, our hearts may be fixed where true joys are found. When I prayed it, I said manifold changes because that was the old language, and it's hard for me to even read it off the page and not say it the old way. But anyway, it's a marvelous confession and prayer. Lots is changing all around us, and it can be terrifying, but we ask that our hearts would be fixed where true joys are found. I thought that was marvelously fit for our time. So the purpose of this report is to simply try to bring you up to date on what's happening in the congregation, particularly with our finances and in response to the council meeting that happened this past Sunday. But before we get there, let's talk about some more central realities. In the first place, as hopefully you all know, we were able to increase our service population this past Sunday. We had 5 services over the weekend, and 2 of them had 60 people each, 2 of them had 50 people, and 1 of them had 9. So that's what we did. And 4 of them had organ, and we had kind of a full service. It was really quite enjoyable after our famine that has been forced upon us for a while. And it went well, and we are ready to up that to some degree. And this coming weekend, we have 4 services scheduled, 1 on Saturday at 10:30, then 3 on Sunday morning at 75 each. The early one on Sunday looks like it's only 25 on the sign-up, but that's because there's 50 choir people in addition to those 25. So we believe that'll be enough to accommodate everyone who wants to come and who is able to come. Again, of course, if you are vulnerable, if you are sick, please don't come. We will continue the live stream. And also, Pastor Fries and I stand ready to come and visit you in your home if you are comfortable with that and if it's safe for you. We've done some of that already. We have procedures in place. I come with sterilized wipes. I wash my hands when I enter the house so that if I've touched a doorknob or whatever, and we bring the Everclear, the whole bit. So we're very careful and we do what we can. None of this, of course, is completely safe. It's not completely safe to go to the grocery store. It's certainly not completely safe to come to church either, or for us to come into your homes and bring you communion. But it is good for you, and we do believe that God blesses his people and strengthens faith through word and sacrament. So if you're ready and you're comfortable, we will be glad to accommodate you. If you would like to come to a service, but you're not quite comfortable yet in a larger service, we will still have next week a smaller service on Wednesday morning at 10:30 that you can sign up for, or again, call us to come. And next Thursday, a week from today, is Ascension. We will have 2 services on that day with organ, full service, one at 10:30 in the morning and another at 7 p.m. And right now we've got those scheduled at 75 each and are asking people to sign up because we're still maintaining the social distancing. That's the point of that the building doesn't get too full. So we appreciate your cooperation with that. We certainly hope to be expanding that soon, and we don't know when that will be. So it could change. Things can change very rapidly, as you know, so please continue to pay attention. I also wanted to let you know that in terms of what we're doing still, we're no longer calling every household every other week the way we have been for the past 8 weeks. But we are still trying to call and make phone calls and keep in touch, particularly with people who we have not seen and who are particularly vulnerable. If you get missed and you would like a phone call, the phone works both ways. So please, by all means, call us. call us anytime. And I or Pastor Freeze would be very happy to talk to you. So we don't mean to ignore anybody, and we're certainly not trying to. All right, what else is going on around here? Well, we're not going to have confirmation this spring. I think all of the parents and families with the children that would have been confirmed know that. There's no rush for us to confirm, really, since it's a man-made ceremony, and the children have already been admitted to the altar and are receiving the Holy Communion. So we're simply going to wait till next spring. We're not going to have a youth trip as we had scheduled in June. We're hoping maybe in August or something we'll be able to do just a local trip, a canoe trip, day trip sort of thing. And of course, we had already planned on taking a hiatus this year from the family retreat in August, so that worked out well for us. I don't know when we'll be able to start Bible class or Sunday school again. In fact, I've really given very little thought to what that will even look like. But we did start some conversations this morning about how we might be able to have a Sunday morning Bible class again, what it would look like, what we might have to do for the next couple months. We certainly miss that and would all enjoy that. And we also need to start thinking, though we haven't really yet, but we need to start thinking about social gatherings at church again as well. A week from this coming Monday, if the governor stays things on track, we can have social gatherings of up to 100 people. There still needs to be social distancing and this sort of thing, but perhaps we can start to have some things here again. Because we have missed this, and we have rightly recognized and learned from this, I hope, that the church, that the mutual consolation of the brethren is more than just talking to one another about Jesus directly. It's also just talking to one another and to being with one another. And the physicality of it, shaking hands, hugging, being in one another's presence, I think we've begun to realize how essential that is to who we are as human beings, as God has created us, the God who became flesh and allowed Thomas to put his filthy fingers into his wounds. So there's something to be said there, and something we need to start thinking about, how we do that in an appropriate manner. I don't have any answers. I'm just telling you we need to start thinking about it. All right, so that's the sort of spiritual reality, the things that have been going on. In terms of the business end of things, I'm very thankful and happy to be able to say that our offerings have remained steady throughout this pandemic, and thank you very much for that. Thank God for that. It does appear as though they went down some for the month of March. However, God blessed us with a totally unexpected gift from the Lutheran Foundation in Fort Wayne. So the Lutheran Foundation in Fort Wayne is the old Lutheran hospital that used to be on Fairfield. When it was sold to the current company that owns it, the proceeds from that went into a large endowment fund that all Lutheran churches in the 4 counties around here are members of. And basically that means that we're eligible to apply for grants from them. And we've gotten some grants from them over the years. They don't like to do so much capital projects, so that makes it sort of a little bit difficult for us in terms. But anyway, they, on their own, without any request from anybody, the board there simply decided to send out to all 92 congregations in these 4 counties $11,500 each. No grant application, no request, and no reporting, and no restrictions on how the money was used. They just did it because they recognized that all the congregations were sort of struggling and the like. So that was quite a marvelous gift. And with that money, we're well ahead of where we need to be and can meet all of our budget requirements. So when I say budget requirements, I don't know how much of a weekly offering goes towards that. But basically, if you don't designate money that you give to Redeemer, if you just put money in the plate, then that money goes to pay for budget expenses. That would be, the utilities, my salary, the regular maintenance on the building, Sunday school materials, catechism materials, just wine and bread for Holy Communion, just everything that we do as part of our normal program, as it were. And so that's in some sense what we're mostly concerned about or worried about. But of course, people also do have special projects they want to fund, and so that we call designated giving. So if you give money and you say, I want a new bell in the bell tower, that money comes to the church and goes into a separate account. And then it's saved, basically, until such time as we're ready to buy a bell. And then it's used the way that it was designated. So it's sort of complicated to try to figure out the finances and to look at the history of them and then to compare it to years past and try to predict what the future holds. But all the indicators are that God has blessed us through this, and the money has continued to come in a very steady way. And I do think it's fair to say that in some ways there's been a very positive side of this, and that is that we're not receiving money in the offering plate as much as we used to, and we're not receiving cash as much as we used to. So I think, 3 months ago on a Sunday morning, the offering plate was passed around, and some people were somewhat surprised by it, and all of a sudden, oh, that's right, I've got to give an offering. And then they would reach into their pocket, pull out their wallet, and see what they had, and decide what to give. Certainly that's a good thing, and we thank God for those sorts of gifts. But that can't happen anymore, or hasn't been happening anymore, because we're not passing the offering plates, and now it's required a very kind of deliberate effort, or many people have increased their discipline and are giving in a much more deliberate way through electronic giving, through direct, whatever you call it, direct deposit, sort of direct transfer from the banks, automatic sort of thing. And we're receiving a lot more money by checks or mailing them in, right? Anyway, the point is that our giving, I think, for many of us has become much more disciplined and deliberate. There's more effort involved, and I think that's actually good. That's a more biblical mode, or a better response to the biblical mandate for sacrificial first fruits giving. So God be praised for that, and we thank you for that. We thank him for that. That's kind of where it is. That being said, so what are we going to do for the future? Well, who knows, right? We don't know. So God's blessed us, and we've stayed right on course through April. Well, what will May and June hold? What are the long-term consequences of all this? Nobody knows except God. So the council, in any case, is going to simply do nothing in terms of budget changes until the June meeting. So we'll have one whole month more of data by then. There was a budget that was prepared and was ready to be handed over or suggested to the April voters meeting for 2020-21. So our fiscal year is July 1st. So there was a budget, and it did have an increase in it that was being proposed based on giving up to that point in the year and so forth. So, they'll have that proposed budget, the council will in June, and they'll make decisions about how to try to move forward. Because the plan right now, according to the council as of Sunday, is that we're not going to try to schedule an additional voters meeting before October. So as we discussed it, it just seemed as though the likelihood of us being able to pull off an in-person voters meeting without, heavy restrictions that actually enabled everyone to come and to participate would probably not be possible before August, maybe September. And we have a voters meeting scheduled for October anyway. To do it that close just didn't seem, I guess, like it would be reasonable or necessary. So the plan right now is that we wait for our normally scheduled October's voters meeting, and between now and then, we will simply go by the council's rule in terms of budgets and other things, all of which will be, of course, reported in a very formal way to the voters in October, and then they'll be asked to ratify it or to change it, I guess, or to rebuke the council if that's necessary. But obviously it won't be. So that's the plan, and that's where we stand with finances. In terms of some other sort of future things that are coming, we did receive a grant from the Lilly Foundation in Indianapolis to upgrade the sound and video equipment. So the Lilly Foundation very generously sent out well, I don't know if it's just Christians, but every church or religious sort of organization in Indiana was eligible for a $5,000 grant to upgrade or add technology to help with all this stuff. And we've been working, and by we, I mean Pastor Fries and his team, not me. They've been working very hard to improve the live stream, and I hope you've recognized that and been able to appreciate it. We have very good equipment. We need to work a little bit harder in learning how to use it, and we have learned through this again, we being them, they have learned that there is some equipment that could be improved, microphones and so forth. So we're very happy about that, that will go into the future, that we'll be able to make a small investment and improve those things. So we're very thankful for what we've been able to do. We're very thankful that it was in place already, even though there was a bit of a learning curve as we've worked with it. So thanks for tuning in to all of that. We're going to keep that going. And thanks for those who have worked so hard to try to make it as pleasant and edifying experience as possible. We did receive an assignment of a vicar from the Fort Wayne Seminary, I don't know when that was, a couple of weeks ago. As anticipated, we got the vicar we requested, Aaron Schultz, our current second-year field worker. So Aaron will be beginning his work here as a vicar on Monday, August 17th, and he'll be installed the following Sunday, the 23rd. He will be working half-time for the school, and then the other half-time, in a more traditional vicar, pastor sort of role. On Saturday, June 13th, one of our members, Daniel Broadus, who's a PhD student here in Fort Wayne, will be ordained. He has received a call to serve a congregation in Ohio. And Mark Krantz, who is our former field worker, who has received a call to serve near Kansas City in Missouri, will be ordained on Sunday morning, the 21st. That, then, we're ready to talk about all of the building stuff. It's crazy the amount of things that are going on around here in terms of construction and repairs and so forth. Effie Sharon, who is our head trustee, is really phenomenal. And the hours that she has put in, frankly, she probably works more hours at the church than I do. It's crazy how much she's here. So I just want to read you the report that she gave to the council. And by the way, Pastor Fries and I were talking this morning. I'm sorry, I know we've not been very good at this. And I think some of this is the cultural shift. The congregation has grown pretty significantly in the last few years. And some of that has created some growing pains and some, we got to figure out new ways of doing things. And that's not always easy to realize that we need a new way of doing things. So in the old days, which wasn't that long ago, 5-6 years ago, there was a pretty small core group of people that was it. And so everybody showed up for the workday, everybody knew what was happening, and there wasn't a lot of need to report all this stuff. And that's not as true now because the projects are just too big, and we basically can't have every volunteer that would like to come and help. So I'm sorry, we're going to try to be better about reporting on what's going on, because there are a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily be aware of. Okay, so what's happened? Well, the youth room has been transformed into a cafeteria for the school, and it's beautifully done. It's been completely repainted, new baseboards put up, the kitchen in there completely remodeled, the old cupboards and stuff tore out, new cupboards, countertops, sink, faucet. The floors in there have been buffed and waxed, new blinds on the windows, caulk around the fireplace, the doors repaired so that they open and shut correctly. It's now a very beautiful, usable room that the school will use Monday through Friday as a cafeteria, but will then also, of course, allow us to have another fairly large gathering space and overflow for meals and so forth when the Undercroft can't hold everybody, which is pretty frequent these days. The other thing that, kind of major thing that is ongoing, not yet complete, is that the old Sunday school rooms behind the organ, so on the second floor behind the choir loft, those little rooms with the stained glass windows are in the course of being remodeled, and I talked about that a little bit last time. The walls were torn down. That's now one large room. So it's more or less the same size as the chapel. It's right above the chapel, and it has these gorgeous windows, and they really look nice now that you can see them all together. So Effie coordinated all this, got a lot of this work donated, and we thanked a lot of those people last time. In the midst of that, just coincidentally, the radiator up there sprung a leak, which if we hadn't torn it all out and been paying attention, it could have leaked for a week and we wouldn't have known. So that was tore out. Because there's new heating and air conditioning going in there, so we don't need those radiators. And Effie was able to take the radiators to salvage, to recycle them, and got a little bit of money for them, so that worked out good. She got the electricians to donate removing the old wiring and installing 4 outlets in there. She got the plaster work finished. And as I said, the heating and air conditioning, which we told you about last time, is ongoing. So that's heating and air conditioning completely new for the school building, the office building, and for that's going to be the school library, that new room behind the choir loft, and that Sunday school room up there with the big glass window where the smallest children meet. That didn't have heat. So now those will have heat and air conditioning, and the whole building will be usable. The whole building will be usable in the winter and in the summer. The whole building will have functioning lights. It's really going to be marvelous. So that's what's going on with that. When you are here, if you remember, go up there. It's a little dirty up there, but go up there and peek in that room, because you're just going to be floored by how beautiful. It's just going to be a marvelous room. She's also Effie's coordinated all of this. I mean, some of these projects, of course, started before, and Effie has a team of volunteers. I don't mean to disrespect the people that came before Effie or the people that continue to help her, but she's the front man. So lights and outlets were installed in the boiler room. It's much more pleasant down there. I mean, it's still a boiler room. She got improved and fixed lighting in both of the stairwells. She found in the attic some old chandeliers. They look sort of like these lights in the church. They match. They're fancy. She got that donated, rewired and fixed, and she put them up in the north stairwell. They look great, and the lighting's better. She's done some safety stuff because of the school. I'm kind of surprised we got away with this, that there's a ladder in that north stairwell in the school building that just went to the roof. And I mean, any kid could have just climbed right up there. So, now it's got a lock on it, and kids can't just accidentally, when nobody's paying attention, do that. She did some stuff also to keep children from falling through the stairwell, which is a good thing. Upgraded and replaced all of the fire extinguishers, upgraded and replaced all the emergency lights so that they are more energy efficient and work better and will be cheaper to replace the batteries and stuff when we need to. Burcott Construction, I think we talked about this last time, but they did this at cost. That would be, this is the legacy of Paul and Ruth Burcott very much. Buried drain pipes in the playground area and did some other work. And then, of course, on Easter Sunday, we had a water leak, a radiator leak, or I don't know what you call it. It's the steam system in the church. It wasn't a radiator, but it was the steam supply line or the return line that leaked down there. So those had to be fixed. And that's been, of course, an ongoing effort. We've been replacing lots of those in the last 5-6 years, but we think we've got, I don't know how much could be left. I'm afraid a lot, but we've done a lot as well. She's got roofing work that's going on. Some of it's connected to the heating and air conditioning stuff that's going on in the church. That's all got to be coordinated. Okay, so she's also got an insurance claim that was approved, so there's going to be some plaster work that's going to start here in a few days in the stairwells. And then she's got she had Hartford Glass come in, fix some windows in the school building. We had another in the school building in the lowest utility closet, a corroded supply line for water that was replaced. She's met with Willie Lupkin again, who's done such beautiful work for us on these stained glass windows. Remember about 2 or 3 years ago, we put about $35,000 into window repair. And had a fundraiser for that, and that was a great success. And all of the most serious window repair has been done, but we don't want to fall behind on it. There are other windows that continue. They're not as critical as that time, but if we don't fix them, they're going to become that critical. So we're working on that, and she has a little bit of money for that, so she's going to keep going on that project, as was our intention all along. The carpet was cleaned in the undercroft this week. Coming up here, I think tomorrow, maybe today, she's having the parking lot's going to be restriped. It's really faded. You can hardly see the lines there. She's got the Carpenters Union, again pro bono, coming this weekend to work on the floor in the library, and they're also going to fix the stage curtains on the undercroft. And what else is going on? She's going to have the double red doors to the playground repaired and painted. And on May 25th, Hagerman Construction is going to start the tuck pointing. So that's a huge project that really needed to be done so we can stop the water damage from coming in. And the roof on the ambulatory, I guess that's what we're calling it. I don't know what that architecturally what that is, but to the south side of the nave, there's that walkway, and that has a kind of almost flat roof. That's going to be replaced this spring. And also the flat roof over the foyer or the entryway in front of the elevator out off the parking lot, that's going to be replaced as well. And I probably missed some stuff because she's got so much going on, it's almost insane. But it's been wonderful to have activity in the church and to see things moving. It's a bit dirty. It's been kind of handy that the children haven't been here for school. But it's been wonderful. The people that have been here working are thrilled to be working and very glad to be here. And we were able to get some real bargains, or Effie was able to get some real bargains for this. So, I don't know what I forgot. I hope nothing. God bless you. Thank you again for your continued support and encouragement throughout this. It is really a joy. I just can't even state it. What a joy it is to serve here as a pastor. And I know I speak for Pastor Fries as well. We appreciate your encouragement, your prayers, your support, your financial support, your desire to be here. And we hope very much that that's soon going to be the case, that we can all be here together again in a way that's, again, safe and appropriate and rightly trusts in God and uses what He has given. Let us close with prayer. O God, you make the minds of your faithful to be of one will. Grant that we may love what you have commanded and desire what you promise, that among the manifold changes of this world our hearts may be fixed where true joys are to be found. Through Jesus Christ, your Son, our Lord, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever.